4K Ultra HD. Step into amazing.
All right.
Welcome back to 4K Kings. My name is Matt.
I am Russ.
And welcome to your home of physical media, movie reviews, and so much more. And Russ, we are back again with another look at our bread and butter 4K Ultra HD titles. We previously had done a worst 4K of all time video.
It's a bit of a downer.
And we thought maybe we would come back and uplift the community instead of trying to tear it down.
That's right. Love is in the air.
This video will give Russ and I the opportunity to really gush about the films we love, as well as how great they look now that they are in 4K. All the heavy hitters, all the ones that you need to know about if you don't already. And if you're new to the game and you're watching this video and you're just getting involved in physical media, these would be our recommendations on where to start. Buy every single one of these and you'll have a perfect jumpstart to a great film library. Are we going to cover every single outstanding 4K title that's in existence? No, absolutely not. We're just going to cover the ones we feel like are essential, ones that really have had a game-changing restoration put to them.
And the only glaring omission that you and I have not seen, so we have never picked up or watched, was Florence and Her Labia.
It's clean.
Let us know if you agree, disagree. Throw the titles down below that you also feel like are great additions to the 4K format. I don't know if you feel like this is subjective or objective. The recent James Cameron 4Ks is an example. There are so many people that say, love it, love the new look, love this, that, and the other thing, and people that said, this is unwatchable garbage. When you see some of these things that are handled correctly with the colors and they get their hands on the original camera negative, the way that these can come out, it's like not only just looking at it for the first time, but it's like a revelation how great this film originally looked on film before getting dumbed down to, like, you know, VHS to DVD to Blu-ray. Obviously there's the resolution, the clarity. You see a lot about HDR versus it doesn't have HDR. You see a lot of people talk about, does this have the appropriate amount of grain, or it doesn't have any grain at all because it got DNR'd and scrubbed? Is it film versus digital? So like original camera negatives, how they are able to be restored versus something that was originally digital to begin with. The size of the disc that they put the movies on and like transfer rate that comes with them.
My wife always said I had a good disc size.
Top Gun Maverick, the film that saved physical media a few years ago. As we all know, Top Gun Maverick saved cinema. It has to be on this list. And not just because it's a favorite of mine or I love Tom Cruise, but
you respect the cock.
Respect the cock.
It is legit and insanely amazing to look at release. This Atmos audio is unreal. The quality of the picture is unreal. Tom Cruise does it again. Top Gun Maverick. I'm sure you already know this, but if you didn't, now you know. This is one of the best 4Ks of all time.
That's right.
The next one from Criterion, Raging Bull.
Oh!
Oh!
This was one of the very first 4Ks that Criterion put out once they started. Raging Bull was a movie that I had never seen at the time, and this compelled me to watch it as a blind buy. And not only is the film outstanding, if you haven't seen it, definitely check it out. But if you're going to watch it in this way, which is the most pristine quality possible. It looks outstanding. Absolutely a reference quality 4K disc. Just from a movie perspective, again, if you're looking for an outstanding 4K, this is definitely one to put in your library. And if you haven't seen it like I hadn't, definitely consider the blind buy. I forgot to mention, these are in no particular order. This isn't a top 5.
I figured it out by now.
Oh!
Alien. Not the newest one from James Cameron. That one has divided the world. But you know what hasn't divided the world? This one. The original Alien is recognized as a reference quality disc, and I couldn't agree more. It's the filmmaking of the past that is just brought to life again, and it just looks like it should have looked in that time frame while just absolutely looking crystal clear, pristine, cleaned up, all that good stuff.
Still feels futuristic even for 1979. Like, it's futuristic by 1979 standards, but we're watching it in the clearest way possible as if it was 1979.
Outstanding 4K disc, one of the best of all time.
I don't trust him.
I don't trust anybody.
Christopher Nolan, we're just going to give him his flowers really quick. Everyone knows what a champion Christopher Nolan is for physical media, so there's no doubt that every release he puts at home, whether it's the features, whether it's the care and the transfer, he is doing everything in his power to give you everything you need. I don't own actually the all the Christopher Nolan movies singly. I have this Nolan collection. So it's basically like once he started with Batman Begins until The Dark Knight Rises, including Interstellar, including Dunkirk. Dunkirk looks awesome. Some of the plane stuff, I actually felt like I was in that plane with them, especially like when they show like the ocean. I just felt like I was there. Same thing with the space stuff in Interstellar. It's just absolutely beautiful. And both of these movies are excellent.
I'm happy to hear that because I saw Dunkirk in the theater and that was an experience. Everything you just described of the planes, theatrically, it was incredible. And Interstellar, I have yet to see a discussion about best 4Ks where Interstellar isn't usually thrown out as number one.
And then just a quick shout out to Oppenheimer.
No, we're not doing that.
That's harsh, man.
Next on the list, Russ, is Apocalypse Now in this glorious digipack. I think it's pretty nice. I mean, it's got damn near like 15 discs to go with it, all the damn versions. Again, a movie that is just brought back to life, transformed to look at incredible reference quality.
If there's ever a film that you want the experience of being as close up as possible, you want to feel like you are there, it's Apocalypse Now. That's what it's designed to make you feel like. Everything in that movie is just so intense. You always felt it within the film even before this format. So imagine it enhanced. Imagine it turned up to 11.
Must own in 4K, one of the best 4Ks of all time.
It's one of the best films of all time.
Quick shout out to both Blade Runner films, which also make this list. Anyone that has seen either of these will tell you how outstanding they look in 4K.
Let's get some pallbearers to display your Godfather trilogy. We're going to need the semi to back up. All right. Oh, shit.
I'm not even going to go back there and get it. Even though it's one of the most disappointing moments of my life of physical media, like being swindled into thinking I was going to get this nice like book style edition. But turns out I got a coffee table book.
No, you got a coffee table.
Legit art prints and like, I don't know, freaking lithographs. If you're going to get this, get the single steels, get the regular release.
Yes, I love how snug it fits on my shelf. I love how it's not a piece of furniture.
Despite all that, The Godfather looks better than it's ever looked in its life. I was so thrilled to see that it got the treatment that it deserved. It is absolutely one of the best 4Ks that's out there.
I have never seen James Caan's shoulders broader in anything else.
And sharper. And if you got the release that I got and you hate it too, let me know. If you actually like it, if you're actually getting use out of it, have you taken that book out and put it on your coffee table? Don't get me wrong. The pages are beautiful. What they've done is nice, but it's not where my movie should live.
No.
The next up is Citizen Kane, the very first Criterion 4K release. And if they didn't knock that out of the park, I think there'd be some disappointed people in the world that Criterion like fumbled the ball, but they absolutely did not. Another black and white title that is just incredible to look at. The restoration is insane.
Next Criterion sale, I'm going to pick up Citizen Kane. I'm going to right my wrong, but I'm going to put it in that Blu-ray box that I already own and love.
All right.
Russ, now that we've primed the audience with some must-own 4K titles, some reference quality, best 4Ks of all-time discs, let us run through a few favorites of our own, ones that we put our personal seal of approval on. Pulp Fiction and Reservoir Dogs. Both of these titles came out of the blue.
Out of the fucking blue!
These came out of the blue in 2022. We were both super excited that these came out and to find out later on that the transfers were just so transformative. Picture quality of both of these is outstanding.
Beautiful, stunning transfers. I watched both of these films numerous times on old school television, so every little difference I'm noticing, and it's fucking popping.
You want Pulp Fiction to look like it's in the 90s while having the best transfer quality possible, and that's what they achieved. You still feel like you're there in that time period, but just wow, like what a restoration for both of these. It just looks brand new. Both of them look brand new, and both of them are coming in some pretty cool packages as well. This black and white, but I swapped out my Blu-ray cover on the inside because I like how that looks. Do what I want to do.
Pretty smart.
I'm going to start off with the first 4K I ever purchased, and that is this Best Buy exclusive steelbook of Stanley Kubrick's The Shining. Often referred to as a reference disc, I couldn't agree more. This transfer is outstanding, and as someone who is a huge fan of this film, Again, a theme I've harped on. I watched it religiously as a child. We all know the wide shots that Kubrick always does. The overlook looks intense. It's overwhelming. Like, it's honestly overwhelmingly good. I know this is the Steelbook that isn't available anymore. Even if you just pick up a standard release, The Shining on 4K, holy shit.
How do you think you can handle that?
Russ, I have a perfect compliment to that one. Not because the movies are related, but because it's also the first 4K that I ever purchased as well.
Nice.
It's the reason why I even got into the 4K game. It is a movie that both of us saw together, and that is The Revenant. This was around the time that 4Ks were coming out. I bought my 4K TV, got my 4K player, and this was the first 4K I watched, and it blew me away. To this day, it is the best, probably my favorite 4K that I own because of how natural it looks, how clear it looks in the wilderness, that natural light, everything that's going on with the making and the cinematography of this film completely translates perfectly to the 4K format. I couldn't be happier, and if you haven't watched this before, I highly recommend the film, but from a 4K perspective, it is one of the best 4Ks of all time.
How did the pelts look?
Tell you gonna lose these pelts.
My next selection that Matt is displaying for me is the Indiana Jones collection, the complete Indiana Jones collection. All 3 films here in Steelbook, Ultra HD, 4K. None other in existence, none other to think about or talk about. The original and only 3 Indiana Jones movies on 4K.
When we first started this channel, we covered this release, and it was like kind of a big deal for even us at the time. No titles like that big had really started flowing yet, and this was one of those ones. We did a 4K comparison of it as well, and it was one of those things that I was like, holy shit. It wasn't an experience I was prepared for. It was like what I was used to all of a sudden to be that clear and that lifelike again just was like mind-blowing.
Even something as little as like Harrison Ford's stubble.
The tweed jackets. These films are some of the best 4Ks that the format has to offer.
Thank you. It was rather wonderful.
Next up for me is going to be Bloodsport, my favorite release of last year, a film that I'd been waiting for since physical media had arrived, since the 4K format had arrived. It had nothing but poor releases before, poor transfers. I was so excited to get this. I was so sort of nervous and anxious at the same time. Was it going to be a great transfer or not? And I'm here to tell you that if you are a Bloodsport fan, you don't know what you're missing if you do not have this release. It revitalizes this film. Every element of it is excellent. Even the soundtrack, the audio that you get with 4K that is also a little bit more elevated that we haven't talked about too much. Outstanding release, an outstanding movie, and it's a little bit more personal for me, but that's not to say that I'm somehow clouded by nostalgia. The transfer itself is super impressive.
You have to see it to believe it.
Stanley Kubrick's 2001 A Space Odyssey. This gargantuan box I'm holding is that of the Film Vault series, which we recommend highly. Arguably the most visual film of all time. And when you get sucked into this movie, you are not yourself. You are transported, and damn, this 4K release does it all justice and then some.
Yes, that is absolutely incredible to look at. One of your favorite films, The Neverending Story, or as I like to call it, Die Unendliche Geschichte.
That's what I called it as a kid.
This is the German 4K release. It's the only place it's been released in 4K. It is so awe-inspiring to look at. I could not believe what they did with The Neverending Story. It is one of my childhood favorites. However, the 4K transfer itself is so transformative. It's just, wow, I could not believe it. Neverending Story in 4K.
Are you done? Great. Then let's cut the BS and get real.
Natural Born Killers. I picked up the Steelbook. It's a little hard, I'd imagine, for someone who isn't familiar with this film, maybe to judge it. If you don't know, there are a ton of different film techniques going. You got 16 millimeter, traditional film, animation, rotoscoping. I mean, this film does it all. Basically, anything that you can do in a movie, this movie did. For instance, there are things in the film like grain. It wasn't real grain in 1994. They added that grain in post in 1994. So some of that stuff might be a little hard to judge because it's stylistic.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I saw this film in the theater At 12 years old in 1994, this was one of those moments for me as a child, like, holy shit, I love movies. I've never seen it this good. This has had a history of shit home video transfers as well. The DVD was atrocious. The Blu-ray was no better. This is the best it has ever been. If you are jumping into collecting and you love natural born killers, you cannot go wrong picking this up.
Russ, to wrap it up for me, maybe divisive, but I'm just going to throw it out there. That's why I'm throwing it out there last, because I've seen this go either way. But to me, this is one of the best 4Ks I've ever seen. It deserves to be on the best 4Ks of all time list. The transfer for the Lord of the Rings, for the entire trilogy. Peter Jackson's always been ahead of the game with this trilogy as far as the DVD releases, the Blu-ray releases, the 4K releases, not just with the transfers, but the features. And he has absolutely done it again, going back to give us what should be the definitive home version of The Lord of the Rings. And I can't say enough that it absolutely is. It was like watching it almost for the first time. Again, just details that were just so vibrant, certain things like that overhead map and practical effects that are used. It just looks fantastic. This is absolutely, in my opinion, one of the best 4Ks of all time.
You bow to no one.
And that is the list of the best 4Ks of all time.
It's the best.
It's the best. There's no better. Actually, there are a lot of titles that we did not cover. Lawrence of Labia.
Florence and her labia.
Florence and your labia, I'm looking at you. Let us know which titles that we missed, new ones, old ones. Maybe we'll come back and do another video at some point to cover more, to discuss Dune, Jaws.
Oh!
You know, little titles like that. And if you like this, let us know below.
And if you haven't done so already, subscribe to the channel. Will Smith has threatened that he's going to do a sequel to Aladdin unless we hit 6,000 subs.
All right, here's what I'm thinking. Aladdin, warrior prince.